For a trend that's only really blown up over the last 15 months or so, Minecraft speedrunning has a very rich history, spanning the course of the last 10 years. One of the biggest moments in that history, and one you might recognize, is the Sizzler getting the first ever sub 20 minute speedrun in Random Seed glitchless history.
We fucking we did it!
But, as it turns out, that wasn't the first sub 20. The real first sub 20 has been all but forgotten by everyone who wasn't in the community back then. And by back then, I mean 3 years ago, in July of 2018. This run, a 13-player co-op pulled off in the hardest category, pre 1.9, might be the most cohesive, fascinating, and just plain impressive Minecraft speedrun I've ever seen. This is the story of the first sub 20 speedrun in Minecraft RSG. Minecraft speedrunning looked very different in 2018. While there was a small community of speedrunners in the West, the vast majority of the community and the leaderboard was based in Japan. That's not to say there was no diversity in the leaderboard. Seaskull, a literal penguin from Antarctica, was in 11th place. The Random Seed glitchless world record was 26 minutes and 45 seconds by Taro Kitchen, the only verified sub 30 at the time. With the most recently released version being 1.12, there was no category split for different versions, and every speedrunner played version 1.7.2. While the vast majority of speedrunning you'll see today is players grinding for better individual times and working their way up the leaderboards in their respective categories, this group of Japanese runners were working on something different. They were trying to push the game to its limits through any method possible, including as a team. And the result was an RSG run in 1.7.2 that in 3 years has never been beaten by any number of people. To do this, they would need creative strategies, cooperative gameplay, a lot of luck, and most of all, with 13 runners in one world, they would need a leader. And that job, of course, would fall to Taro Kitchen. Taro Kitchen is one of the all-time great Minecraft speedrunners, and was the undisputed best in the game at the time. Not only did he hold the single-player RSG world record, he had the only sub 30, being over 7 minutes faster than the second place run. To maximize efficiency and clarity, in this run, Taro Kitchen will communicate verbally, while the other runners will talk through the chat. He'll keep track of materials, lead the way to the Nether Fortress and then the Stronghold, and give his peers directions throughout the run. So basically, this time would not have been possible without him. But of course, it wouldn't have been possible without the other 12 runners either. And in particular, I want to quickly shout out Picasso. She was a huge help in getting the information I needed, and explaining the methods that the runners used at the time. This video wouldn't be possible without her. Like I said, the methods used in this run couldn't be less similar to the meta we see nowadays, both in modern versions and in pre 1.9. The leader will reset until they have a desert spawn, and the other players will then join the world. Players will spread in every direction to maximize the resources available to them and constantly communicate about where useful resources are located. Every runner will need tools and quite a bit of food, and once the locations of different resources are known, people will get to work doing everything from shearing sheep to make beds, to searching caves for endermen. This may sound like an inefficient and very luck-based method of getting ender pearls, and it is, but that's because while tower strats to kill endermen faster did exist at the time, they didn't work with multiple players. The first player to find a lava pool will name the location, and the leader will go there, while people nearby will bring 4 iron to that same spot. Because these runners are playing using traditional rules, while it's technically allowed, they don't use the F3 screen, meaning the only locations they can give each other is directions. This adds another layer onto the need for good communication and spatial awareness. It makes the run even more exciting and immersive. As the other players continue gathering materials, the leader will enter the Nether with 1 or 2 people to help, and find a Nether Fortress. After acquiring 1 or 2 blaze rods, the leader will return to the overworld, as the other runner stays behind to collect the rest of the necessary blaze rods. By this time, the hope is that someone will have acquired at least one ender pearl by searching through caves, something that requires a ton of luck to be able to do as fast as possible, and could often delay the run by minutes if the leader returns to the overworld during the daytime. As soon as possible, the acquired pearls will be brought to the nether portal, where the leader will craft Eyes of Ender and start locating the stronghold. Again, not using F3 means no fancy math to quickly calculate the distance of the stronghold, as a 1 or 2 degree angle change is impossible to eyeball. It also means that once the leader finds the stronghold, they can't give the other runners coordinates to come to. Instead, they'll leave a path behind them for the other runners to gradually come to and follow. These other runners will still have plenty of resources to collect, mostly ender pearls, but now they'll search for endermen while moving towards the stronghold. They, as well as the players in the nether who are getting blaze rods, will have plenty of time to catch up as the leader triangulates the exact location of the stronghold and digs down to it. The leader will place a chest where the other players will put their resources as one by one they reach the portal room. With plenty of beds, bows, arrows, food, and Eyes of Ender, the group will ideally be ready to take on the end fight. And the end fight is easily the coolest part of the runs that use these strategies. But I think we'll save that for the end of the video. For now, let's take a look at the run that got just about everything right, and as such, hasn't been beaten in the 3 years since it's been set. Taro Kitchen spawns into the world with a desert in sight, and after a countdown, he sets the time to 0, and the other players join the world, immediately spreading out in every direction in search of their respective resources. The players all have predetermined roles to fill, but they've also got to adapt on the fly to who finds what, meaning they'll have practiced every aspect of the run they might need help with. Taro Kitchen immediately spots a village, which, with the farms, is a great source of food, and is also useful for making tools and gathering flint. He also spots chickens and a blacksmith and reports all of this to the other runners. The blacksmith doesn't have any iron, but it does have 7 obsidian, which will speed up the building of the nether portal, as Seaskull's fast lava pool portal wasn't in wide use yet. If he had gotten just 1 more obsidian, he could have made another portal right there using the 2 lava blocks in the blacksmith, but luckily, Don Suba reports the location of a lava pool right as Taro Kitchen is leaving the blacksmith. He looks around for a cave, but doesn't spot one, letting the other runners know to report back if they get iron. After making stone tools, Taro Kitchen gathers gravel, assuring Puyoyan, who is in a desert with no food, that they don't have to force themselves to fight endermen if they think they're going to die. At 2.5 minutes, Adagoyama reports that they have 4 iron, the amount Taro needs, and he instructs Adago to go to the lava pool that Don Suba reported. Meanwhile, Noji Noji finds a second village, and Yao 80 finds 6 more iron, and Taro tells them to do whatever they want with that, as he's set to go to the nether. As he kills chickens near the village, Taro Kitchen reminds everyone that there's been no reports on sheep, and that they should try to find some. Through all of these directions, Taro Kitchen shows impressive leadership skills, keeping a firm and helpful tone, not commanding anyone to do anything, but giving suggestions and guidance, while also keeping track of a dozen things at once in his head. That may sound silly to talk about in a Minecraft speedrun, but it's really one of the most unique and fascinating parts of this run, with the group showing cohesive teamwork skills that I've never seen matched in Minecraft speedrunning before. So, now that most of the players have their basic tools and food and have located at least some of the resources they need, the speedrun will move into a second phase of sorts, as any player not spending time finding sheep or chickens will start looking through caves for endermen, hoping to get just 1 ender pearl by the time Taro Kitchen returns from the nether. Taro spots the pillar Don Suba has built near the nether portal and places his 7 obsidian. While he waits for Atago to finish the nether portal using their bucket, Noji Noji reports that they have no food as their village didn't have a farm, and Taro continues to delegate, asking if anyone in the area can bring Noji Noji some food. Amazingly, despite much more convoluted strategies and a generally slower playstyle, Taro enters the nether at under 5 minutes, which would be a perfectly fine pace for a modern pre-1.9 run by a single player. Taro asks Adago to accompany him in the nether, but because Adago has no food, Don Suba follows him in instead. With a stroke of luck, a nether fortress loads in immediately nearby. Like a good leader, Taro Kitchen is aware of each of the players' strengths and weaknesses, and is wary of the totally open nether fortress over lava, seeming to believe that Don Suba is at a higher risk of dying than Adago, which would mean the end of the run. While the runners are playing in hardcore mode as part of their traditional rules, if the other runners die, they simply leave the world and the run continues. Taro Kitchen is the only one who can't die at all. But with Dansuba gathering almost all of the blaze rods, if they were to die, it would likely kill the run, hence Tero's apprehension. Upon entering the Nether Fortress, Tero kills a skeleton, then attacks a stray blaze, which unfortunately doesn't drop a blaze rod. Dansuba immediately gets into trouble attacking a wither skeleton,
無理しなくていいの。いや、無理しないで、ほんと無理しないで。死なれるのが一番やべえから。
but Tero tells them to be careful and assures them that he can get the first blaze rod. After dealing with the wither skeletons, Tatuto reports that they've gotten 2 ender pearls, exactly what Tero Kitchen needed, and Tero instructs them to bring the pearls to the nether portal in the overworld. After setting up protection at the blaze spawner, Tero Kitchen gets a blaze rod from the first blaze he kills, and starts to leave the nether, instructing Dansuba to get 6 more. However, he runs into a stray blaze on his way out of the fortress, and with a rare mistake, has a bit of a scary moment.
あ、食らうわ、これ。今の下手くそだったわ。ほんと下手だったわ、今の。
He recovers nicely and gets a second blaze rod for his troubles. Tatuto reports that they're far away from the nether portal, so it'll take them a minute to get there. So, in the meantime, Tero Kitchen asks for reports on wool and feathers. He also continues to stress about Dansuba dying in the nether.
ドンさん絶対死なないこと優先して。ネザーもおかわり行かせないから。絶対死なないで。あ、ソブさんどんまい。
I like to think of Dansuba as the Michael Corleone of this speedrun. They were never meant to be put into the spotlight or have the dangerous job, but once there, they become exactly what they need to thrive. RST UVW, on the other hand, does not.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Tero Kitchen chops wood while he waits for Tatuto to arrive at the portal, and in just over 10 minutes, he's able to start finding the stronghold. He sets his expectations for the other runners, and checks that they're reasonable.
特定は多分14分15分ぐらいには終わるから、みんなパールを、15分までに揃えよう。無茶言ってる。いやでも15分までにパール全部揃えて。
Now that a million different little things have gone right, and every member of the team has done their job, well, except for RST, the runners know that they're on an insane pace. Of course, Tero Kitchen is a pro, and instead of building the pressure, all he's communicating to his team is optimism. While Dansuba's bad luck at the blaze spawner dampens the pace a little, this run is so fast at this point that it barely matters. As the terrain transitions into a dense forest, Tero Kitchen worries that someone's going to get lost, but things do start looking up more. Pinkham reports 2 ender pearls, and Tatuto reports a 3rd, while Dansuba finishes gathering blaze rods at 12 minutes. Tero's second ender eye throw continues into the ocean, as Pinkham and Cotton each report another ender pearl, giving the team 8 total. After Atako reports an 8th, Tero instructs everyone to start coming to the stronghold, only killing endermen if they find them on the way. When Picasso immediately reports 2 more, Tero knows they're very close to being ready to beat the game, as they have 11 Eyes of Ender and are fairly likely to find more endermen on the way or a pearl in the stronghold. Sure enough, Noji Noji gets another ender pearl as Tero Kitchen slowly triangulates the stronghold. It's underwater, which in modern versions would be a great thing, but because Tero Kitchen can't swim and boat mechanics are much worse, it does slow down his triangulation considerably. After estimating the location of the portal room, he builds a pillar for the runners to find and starts digging down. But then, disaster strikes.
ドンさんやばいそれ。ちょっと遺品をどうにかできるかな。
Dansuba, the carrier of the blaze rods, is killed by an enderman. But because they're doing this as a team, Cotton is right there when Dansuba dies to pick up their items and continue right on. Apart from Tero Kitchen, no one runner in this team has to carry the weight of this run on their back, and the benefits of that are clear here more than ever. As Tero Kitchen waits for the other runners to arrive, he digs gravel to get flint, and while they don't hit their goal of being in the stronghold at 15 minutes, like a good leader, Tero Kitchen surely factored that in when giving instructions. And by 17 minutes, all of the runners have arrived in the portal room. Now, it's time to take down the dragon. First of all, Tero Kitchen is going to send these 2 into the end ahead of him, because while Tero can't die, the other runners can, and the run will still continue. In the 1.7 end dimension, the dragon can charge at you no matter where you spawn, meaning right when you enter the end is the most dangerous. You could spawn in an underground box, where the dragon can attack you without you seeing it coming, dealing massive damage. But far more dangerous is when runners will spawn on a separate island, where they'll have to bridge to the main island. The dragon can charge at them at any point during this, and if they're not careful, they can easily be knocked off. Once the ender pearls and blaze powder have arrived, Taro Kitchen fills in the portal and sends his trusted right-hand man, Atago, in first. Luckily, in this run, they get the underground spawn, where Atago will dig a staircase up to the surface for the other runners to follow when ready. Taro Kitchen asks for all available armor, as the most important part of this end fight is that he survives until the end of it. And at 17:30, he heads into the end and starts blowing up the end crystals with Atago. Now, in single player, a runner would use a combination of shooting down end crystals and blowing up beds to kill the dragon. But in multiplayer, the process is a lot more violent. This is the kamikaze dragon fight. You see, the more players are in the end, the more confused the dragon will get, and the less often it will charge at the players. Normally, when blowing up beds to hurt the dragon, the player will place a block in between them and the bed to prevent most of the damage to themselves. But because having less players actually makes the dragon charge faster, the players will divide up the beds, and then whoever the dragon charges at will heroically blow up their bed with no barrier, hurting the dragon and killing themselves in the process. Seeing all these runners enter the end and start shooting at the dragon from Taro's point of view feels almost like the climactic scene in an action movie, where all the members of the team take turns fighting the bad guy and bringing everyone closer to winning. While the dragon is slow to charge at first, at 18:30 it goes for Picasso, who does great damage, taking about a quarter of the dragon's health. The same explosion also pushes Atago into the void, as they both leave the game, having done everything they could to help the team. Taro Kitchen politely thanks them for their service.
Yeah, ありがと
After 20 seconds, the dragon charges again, this time at Tatuto, who gets another great bed off, bringing the dragon down to about half health. Immediately after, the dragon charges at Puyoyan, who brings it down to a quarter of its health. The finish line is in sight. The inspirational music starts building. Like Taro just said, they can do this. And they're only one bed away from doing something no one ever has before, beating the game on a random seed without glitches in under 20 minutes. And right on cue, the dragon charges at Pinkham. But in true cinematic fashion, there's one last twist. Pinkham mistimes the bed. The dragon starts to fly away, where it's less likely to charge, and suddenly the sub-20 is about to slip through their fingers. But before the dragon gets out of reach, at the last second, Cotton shoots it with an arrow, getting its attention and sending it back into a charge towards Pinkham. And this time, they timed the bed perfectly.
う。ナイス。あ、切った迷子出せ迷子出せるけど20分、世界記録。よしよっしゃよしよしよしよし。世界。あー、出た。久々に出したね。記録更新っすよ。ありがとうみんな。
Taro Kitchen, being who he is overjoyed at the accomplishment, but not shocked. He knew they could do it, and fittingly, the last thing he does is thank the members of his team. The team that came together to perform one of the craziest speedruns in Minecraft history. Meanwhile, the other runners were stunned. Picasso says they were all extremely excited as the pace of the run developed, and very nervous by the end. And to sum it all up, I'll leave you with this. Picasso says, in Japan, there's a saying that luck is one of your strengths, and we were able to make the most of that luck because of Taro Kitchen. This historic team was led by one of the greatest runners of all time, but likewise, he couldn't have done it without the rest of them. At the end of the day, it's sad that this run isn't remembered more in Minecraft speedrunning, because there truly are very few runs like it, but I hope that this video gave you some insight into a piece of Minecraft speedrunning history, and that the incredible work of the team in this video can be appreciated. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe for more Minecraft speedrunning videos. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.